சீராரும் பரதமென திகழ் பரக கண்டமிதில் தெக்கமும் பரிசிறந்த திராவிட திருநாடும் திலகமுமே திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற இசையும் புகழ் மனக்கரில் தகரும் தமிழகே தமிழகே உன் சீரிழமை திறப்பியம் சேமரங்கு வாழ்ந்துமே வாழ்ந்துமே வாழ்ந்துமே. Thank you, girls. I now request Poonam to deliver the welcome address. A pleasant morning to everyone. So, on behalf of and Tamil Nadu Election Watch, it is my pleasure to extend a warm welcome to our Chief, Mr. P. Joseph Victor Raj from Tamil Nadu Election Watch and his team. Sujata Silvin, Head of Finance, Talent Tribe Consulting. So, Mr. Sylvain Thomas, Talent Tribe Consulting. He is working as an Executive Director. And William, so HR Consultant, Talent Tribe Consulting Private Limited. So I feel extremely happy to introduce the next speaker, so Vijaya Natarajan. She is yet to arrive. She is a renowned advocate and she took part in the Joe Biden's election campaign in the United States of America. So we extend our warm welcome to Madam Mrs. Vijaya Natarajan. So ma'am, it is an honor to have you here on the event of Elocution Contest program. So I feel grateful to have the presence of our beloved department, social work, Dr. Sister Ruth Mary FMM. She has given us the path to follow and to make our dreams become reality and have given the firm foundation for all young minds to take part in the elocution contest. And highly respected faculties, my dear students and friends, it gives me an immense pleasure to welcome you all for today's program on elocution contest is organized as a part of the fair and free election campaign. So there are 5 themes. So role of youth in eradicating corruption during the election. So role of youth in ensuring free and fair election. Role of youth in electing clean candidates. Informed voting and relevance and importance of NOTA. So I would like to appreciate all the students for their presence and participation in the event. So we are very much happy to have you here and excited to see us. So we wish good luck to all our students who are participating in the contest. We'll go to participant certificate. The assessment will be based on certain criteria such as content, delivery, presentation, language, and attitude. Just I would like to give a brief introduction about our chief guest, Mr. P. Joseph Victor Raj is a postgraduate in social work from Sacred Heart College, Tirupattur. So, and he has completed 31 years of service in the development sector. So, after working in various non-governmental organizations for 7 years, so in 1996, he founded an organization called HOPE, Holistic Approach for People's Empowerment in Puducherry. He is specialized in capacity building, research, monitoring, evaluation, publication, campaign, advocacy, and networking in the fields of child rights and governance. Pope has published posters on almost all social legislations. In 2010, he was elected as the state convener of CACL, which means Campaign Against Child Labour, for Tamil Nadu and Puducherry. I did various initiatives regarding RTE, so right to education, definition of age of children, bonded child labour in mills, PREETHI, Child Labour Prohibition and Act, Amendment, etc. So in this capacity, he has succeeded in his public interest litigation in Chennai High Court for enforcing rights of children to free and compulsory education act in Puducherry. So he was the national convener of CACL between 2014 and 2019. He has conducted a nationwide campaign during 25th anniversary of UNCRC. So he had a convention on the rights of the child and was involved in the advocacy with the parliamentarians for amendment of CLPRA. So he was selected as Puducherry convener for National Election Watch and was involved in the Election Watch Act during Assembly elections 2011, general elections 2014, Assembly elections 2016 and general elections in 2019. From this year onwards, he is coordinating Tamil Nadu Election Watch also. So he also serves as an advisory committee member in BHAVANI, the community radio of Pondicherry.
They will only judge and rank you according to the, various aspects. But here there is nothing like, success or failure. Your participation itself is very much appreciated for coming forward to take part. Because, even if we don't involve in politics, the politics will involve in your life. So we cannot keep away from politics. We have to actively involve in the electoral process, and vote is the first step towards that. I hope everyone ensure that your name is in the voters list, even from when you completed the age of 18 years. So, on the day of election also, you should go to the polling booth and exercise your franchisee. Because usually people say that, bad politicians are elected by the people, are elected because of the people who go on tour on election day. Okay, because so it's not a holiday like, so we can go for a outing or we can go in Mahabalipuram or something like that, but it is like, that's the day we have to go to the polling booth. So without taking much time, maybe later if I get some ideas, I will intervene in between, give way to you and take leave. Thank you very much. Wishing you all the best.
Thank you for your delightful speech, sir. Elocution is a study of formal speaking in pronunciation, grammar, style, and tone, as well as the idea and practice of effective speech and its form. With this, I would like to call on the first participant on the stage, Bhavani S.
Good morning to one and all present here. My name is BHAVANI. I'm in the psychology department. The topic I have chosen is the role of youth in corruption, in eradicating corruption in elections. And the reason I took this topic is because 60% of India's population is the youth. And like Sir beautifully put it, you can't really stay away from politics, neither can you stay away from elections. So corruption basically happens when citizens become highly selfish and self-oriented, and made to believe that the nation is not a common property and only for themselves, which often happens. So every aspect of us has its own way and means to corrupt the society and with themselves as well. So corruption is basically when you use the public property for your own good, which is what we see most of the politicians doing these days. And one thing is that if you think corruption is happening only in politics, you're very wrong. It happens in education. It happens almost every part of your life that if you look at, you'll understand. Both the corruption starts from the influence of your family and the circumstance daughter. So your family has a very important role to play in the way you, develop as a citizen. So the values and ethics that they teach you, the way they bring you up, the exposure that they give you, and like Sir said, you need to be on the election poll, and that is not entirely your responsibility. However, it goes to your parents as well. They need to expose you to what elections is, because if you don't have that awareness, nobody can expect you to elect in a free and fair way. So the red tapeism and limitations of the legal framework within our country is a major cause of resulting in corruption. The nation is in the hands of the youth. What they do and act like reflects the society. So what I want to put here as a very important point is that India has a very huge advantage of making their youth, participate in elections and make it corruption less, because our country itself is not an individualistic country. We are taught to, be a part of the family, contribute to people. Because the only country, if you look at India, Asia as a whole, in fact, you see that they're very different in the way they function. So when you will see your grandparents saying, be nice to your parents, respect them, don't go away from your values and ethics, and all of this is because we're not an individualistic country. So it makes the youth more prone to making things fair and eradicating things like corruption, because you start caring for the society. That's how you're brought up from your family itself. So that is something you need to understand. Corruption. One thing I'd like to say is that try to hold on to your values and ethics. Try to talk to your friends about elections more, because only when you discuss will you understand other perspectives on the matter, and only if you get more perspectives will you understand different ways of looking at one thing, and that can really help you to grow as an individual. And one other thing I want to put here is that be more in touch with what's happening in politics. You may not like politics, but try to understand what is happening. Try to understand who you're voting for. Don't just vote for it because there are 100 people voting for them. You don't understand what that well you should. Thank you.
Next participant is Varsha B.
So I would like to begin here with a story. When I reported to UAE and asked a UAE citizen, how do you feel about your country? And the person replied, we have a good leadership. We have nothing, but we have everything. So what is stopping that in India? The progress. What is stopping the progress in India? It's corruption. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Varsha. I am from SRIRAM department. My topic is role of youth eradicating corruption. So what is corruption? It is a dishonesty, it's a evil, and it has become necessary evil and also become. So what is youth? Youth is being a fresh idea, fresh innovation, and they can bring the young blood can run between everyone, and we have the voice against everything. So how can a youngster can stop corruption during this election? Because most of the corruption is done by many political parties which we are aware of. So how can a youngster stop this? Stop following them and start questioning them. You have to stop following them blindly. Start to question them. If a party is going to say they are going to give you 1,000 rupees per month to every family in our state, start questioning where the amount is coming from, where the fund is coming from. The other way, they will be giving 1,500 per month per family. How does that money come from? And the other party is also saying LPG gas cylinders will be given to each family for will be given. What is the rate of LPG cylinder in our country right now? So these are the corruption which is taking place right now. How are we going to stop it? We have to think about it. Every individual citizen of our nation has to think about what is going on. Second, spread your thoughts. If you have thoughts running in your mind, just spread it. How do you spread it? Use your social media. Use all your communication. Talk to your neighbors about it. And how you're going to stop this? Youngster should never be corrupted by their thoughts. You may listen all these speeches, all these things. You can also be influenced by your families, but never be corrupted. Never be greedy for money. It's everything need to be hard work and never be corrupted because of that. So, being the youth of a nation is essentially our duty to curb all sorts of corruption and ensure to a well-suited person to be elected. So how are we going to do this? In this current scenario, every individual citizen needs to be a whistleblower. What is a whistleblower? Person who recognizes what a fraudulent act has been done. And we as a citizen should be a whistleblower to this election and make sure we select a good leader who has no corruption to it. Thank you so much.
Next on stage is Sharon Maria Christina. Somewhere inside all of us is the path to change the world. A very good morning to everyone present here. This is Sharon from the Department SHARON, here to talk on the relevance and importance of NOTA. So what actually NOTA is? As all of us know, NOTA is a no. Is nothing of the above. In an election, NOTA means the voter has the right to reject the candidates contesting for the elections. That is, he can choose the NOTA option. NOTA has now become a trend, but when did NOTA evolve? Around 2009, NOTA came into picture, and 2013, NOTA was first started in the assembly elections of Rajasthan, Mizoram, Uttar Pradesh, and Delhi. And actually, when did this concept rise? NOTA was given importance only when people started to reject the candidates, when they didn't want to vote for them. So now we actually basically know what this NOTA is all about. Then what is the important aspect to choose VOTA? It is obviously the voter's ID. So the youths are considered as the eyes of the nation. But then how many youths here who are 18 plus actually have an voter's ID with them? I don't think that everyone who is 18 plus have an voter's ID. I'm 21 and I don't have a voter's ID with me because I've applied for my voter's ID 2 years back, and I went to check with them when I applied, and they were like, any proper information why I didn't get my voter's ID. I have again before now, like when they put up the booth, and they were not given proper election. So this is actually a drawback where the candidates or where the citizens of the nation are not able to vote. The another drawback is the errors in the voter's ID. Errors in the address makes the candidates not vote for the elections. Like it helps them, it makes them think that voting, youths think voting is important, but then since of errors in the voter's ID and them not having a voter ID card with them, they are not able to vote for them. So what difference actually does NOTA make? NOTA doesn't make any difference at all. Though Nota also has no electoral value, because when a Nota wins an election, the next highest voted candidate is declared the winner. But then, since though Nota wins, there's no option in that. So, but why have Nota when there is no importance? Though Nota has no electoral value, people come forward. They are given an encouragement to come and vote for Nota, and they have the right to reject the candidates. The need of the hour is to make the citizens of the nation and make them know about the importance of vote. Though Nota has made certain changes can be made, though change cannot be made overnight, initiative can be taken to make the change. I would like to conclude by telling that each vote matters. Your voice, your vote. So think wisely and vote for the best.
Audience, please cheer more for the participants. It's not enough. Thank you. Up next is Tanya Tracy George.
Thank you so much. My name is Tanya and I'm from the Department of Audio. Yeah, quite small. So I'll be talking about the relevance and importance of Nota. So aren't we all like literally fed up and listening to TV during elections like no matter how many times or whoever we vote for, it's not going to change the system of our voting system in India? Aren't we all fed up and listening to the people like please vote for me, but at the end we know nothing is going to happen? Well, lucky you, there's something called a Nota that is giving you a long, a big and a loud decision says that I don't want you in the seat of power. That is what Nota is all about. But Nota happens to be what the government tells a silent, a fake, or a make-up vote. Funny, right? Something so big in our hands just literally being played around for the government to tell, it's no use, guys. Just don't vote. Vote for somebody else who's literally going to give you some so-called power and so-called change and all that. So Nota, aka none of the above, has provided a chance for the voters of India in most elections since 2009. So 2009 we're behind Nota. Wow. But excessive a preference for none of the above. A citizen can choose not to vote for any candidates who are consistent in the election. No matter whoever the person is, it is your wish to choose whoever you want for as your leader. Whether or not majority of votes are casted by the candidates, the most important vote shall be declared the winner. No matter even in election, the second highest vote will be elected as a leader. Why is it like that? Are we supposed to get a better chance in selecting a leader? That is when this happens. So many of the governments and many activists believe that these are the changes that Nota and the government should bring in. One, if Nota receives the highest number of votes, re-election should be held in the constitution with new and fresh candidates or their constituencies should be ruled by the government. This also helps in giving a clean and fresh elections for the youth of today. When conducting re-elections, the Nota button may or may not be disabled to avoid re-elections. As you also know, and the previous speaker has also said, for some people, Nota is a trend. So let's avoid the trend now, shall we? When conducting a re-election, the Nota button, the political parties that lose to Nota has to bear the cost of the election. They are having a lot of money already. Let them also bear the cost, shall we? The candidates who lose to Nota should not be allowed to contest the elections at a definite period of time. Or 6 years? For 6 years, probably let them not elect. They have other better things to do, right? The candidates receiving the votes less than a Nota to be disqualified to conduct any other elections in future, even in the constituency where the Nota might not be getting minimum votes. To complete my talk, I would like to say, be wise with the coal in hand, for shall it travel diamond. Our coals in hand are our Nota votes. Let's turn them into diamonds. Where we have an opportunity to change now, why wait for it? Because of the state body that we gradually lose faith in politics, we are definite and indefinitely being part of. Never again shall be silenced, be loud and clear with the Nota. Thank you all.
Next up is Latika.
A very good morning to one and all present here. I'm Latika from the Commerce Department, here to talk about the role of youth in contributing towards free and fair elections. So elections, a very conventional and a very ubiquitous process which India is going through. It's actually a process where we select the person who's going to form the office and who's going to rule us. So we all know about the eminence and the noteworthy effects which elections have on the economic as well as the political structure of our country. So just when we think that everything in this country is going so smooth, and we get these negative developments which sends everything into this, right? So we know elections are a very conventional process, but you know the effects of elections actually has a very systemic degeneration on the economic structure of our country. So talking about the elections happening in a very free and a very smooth way without any prejudices afflicting the election process. Things like corruption, electoral fraud, then manipulating election process, voter fraud and voter suppression are some of the existential negativities which are associated with elections. Elections is actually a good process of selecting who's going to rule you, but it is not free of such kind of, negative existential negativities which is always associated with elections. So as youth, I think it's important to, we do have strength to contribute towards elections happening in a very free way, but it's very important that we contribute to, stem the creeping rot of problems associated with elections. So some of the problems which are associated with elections is the voter disqualification, voter intimidation, and it's very important that we rationalize the polling booths. There's always a concern that the completion of voting process does not happen within the stipulated time, and there's a necessity to extend the, and this is always associated with the elections being conducted in a slant or an unjust way. So having spoken about the existential electoral issues, I think it's really very important to address and what could be done to stem the creeping rot and without allowing spaces for any more new predicaments to juggle upon. So India is a country with a growing population and it's a three-tier governance structure. So this is actually which demands India to reinvigorate the entire political system and bring in new measures to form a very good, a smooth and transparent economic system. So to conclude speech, I would like to tell that India is a country which has a very conscientious legal system. So it's a country which many other countries look up to, and it's a country which is avidly quoted by all and sundry. A country which has done a lot to draw the attention of many. So when we come together with the spirit of passive revolution to eradicate such electoral encumbrance, I think that is what is necessary to show signs of a maturing democracy. And thereby we help in building a well-entrenched legal system. Thank you.
Next participant is AAQUILA FATHIMAM. Arul, please be ready. I welcome Ms. Vidya Natarajan. Audience, please give her a round of applause. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Owning is a power of our commitment to ourselves, one another, this country, and this world. Respected dignitaries on the dais, respected madam, and my dear fellow peers, a very good morning to one and all. Boring, is it? Okay. So the seniors before me spoke the same topic, relevance and importance of knowledge, but I should also. So what if the answer is not as a given option? We look for an option, none of the above. The answer is not here. So my favorite option though, and do you know what? We also have this option in our election voting system. The right to choose none of the above, not the right answer. Elections are like a battle.
But this battle is fought in a very peaceful way. It is not a battle of bullets, but ballots. And we have the right to vote in the world's largest democracy, India. We have this option in choosing a candidate of our choice on the historic none of the above. It's huge if a voter does not support any of the candidate in an election, but he or she has no choice but to select So in 2019, no option in our electronic voting machine is based on the principle consent also means the ability to withhold consent in an election. Nota empowers the right to reject the candidate and to enforce one's choice. What if the nota wins? If a maximum number of votes cast for a nota, candidate getting the majority of the remaining votes would be declared a winner. Why is it? No, we have rejected you. No way. But the Supreme Court of India welcoming the nota, a negative voting would encourage people to reject the candidate they are not satisfied with. A causes of India. So that's the negative voting will lead to a systematic change in polls and political parties will be forced to project the clean candidates. Remember, if the right to vote is a statutory right, then the right to reject is a fundamental right. Is a fundamental right of speech and expression under the Constitution of Justice. So we are in a dark time where the right to cast an informed vote or reject candidate privilege is enjoyed by few. So I would like to conclude with a small message. The need of the hour is to wake up the apolitical and pseudo-political citizens of our nation who are not aware of this nota and all those voting systems, to make them realize the importance of vote and what brings change to this entire nation. Let's make use of it, and thank you all so much.
The next participant is Arul Braita. Deva Prayaga is ready. If the ethics are poor at the top, that behavior is copied throughout. Good morning, everyone. I'm Arul to speak on the role of youth in eradicating corruption during election. Long ago, in the year 2017, as a 10-year-old, I happened to hear a group of people, probably around this. They were talking about which party is going to pay them more money for voting. As a 14-year-old, I knew it was bribery, and I also knew that a briber would be behind the bars. But it was very difficult to understand why bribery was so easy. After these 5 years as a fresh adult, I now understand that bribery is really very easy, not because they give us money, but because we, the people, take money. Isn't India democratic? What the people want, the government gets money. The elderly and the senior citizens of our country have very generously passed on the title of the pillars of our nation to the youth, generation after the generation. And guess what? India tops the list of the countries with the most number of youth population, with 356 million youth. When we have such a large population of strong pillars, why is India still hanging with the support of very few non-selfless businessmen? Has the youth forgotten their role? The youth that came together to protest for Jallikattu, they forgot the caste differences, the religion differences, the class differences, the gender differences. They forgot everything and they held their hands together. They weren't scared of the guns and rifles of the policemen. Have they forgotten the power they hold? The nation is dependent on the youth. The fairness of election is also dependent on the youth. It is indeed impossible for one person to change, but it is very much possible if everyone does. There is a story that lit a spark of awareness in me. A very hungry monkey, when offered a banana and a 2000 rupees note, what would it choose? Yes, it would choose the banana because it does not know the value of a 2000 rupees note. I don't see any difference in us when we accept corruption during elections. Why is it so hard for us to realize that it is our hard-earned money that we receive back in the form of bribe for us to be entangled in the illusion that the politician will save us? The youth has to step in. The youth has their own ways to create awareness. And they will also succeed in it, but only if they want to. The youth, we have a future. Let's eradicate corruption for us. Let's eradicate corruption for the future. Let's say no to bribing. Let's start from our family, from our friends, and from our circle. Let's say a strong no to corruption. A no means no. Thank you.
Thank you, Arun. The next participant is Deva Prayagra. The next participant is Anupama.
A very good morning to one and all. I am Deva Prayaga from Sociology. So, I'm going to talk about relevance and importance of NOTA. But you've already heard NOTA is rejection of all the candidates, that it does not have an electoral value. But then where does it start? It started from a negative vote that gave us the right to give a negative vote against a candidate in as early as 1960s with section 49O of the Conduct of Election Rules. Where did it go wrong? It went wrong because the voters, we brought justification for why we gave a negative vote. No, we do not have to justify to a presiding officer. No, we do not have to give up our secrecy of the ballot. We do not have to give up the identity. And this gave rise to NOTA. But is this a fine, perfect option? No. But today, it gives us the right to not choose any of the given options. So how do we use this option? We use this option against members who are having a corrupted background. Members of the voting community use this against inefficient and political parties that would not help us no matter how we elect them. So if it does not have a value, why choose them? Why don't we cast it for others? Because as Haryana Election Commission in 2018, voting for NOTA should not be considered as an invalid vote, but as a vote for a fictional candidate, and re-elections must be conducted in states where NOTA contestants are getting higher votes, and those contestants with lesser votes than a NOTA should not be allowed to contest re-elections. Also, this would ensure that the parties that continuously support candidates will not be able to support these candidates in the re-election. We would see fresher, newer options. Isn't that what democracy is all about? What we want? So though NOTA seems very relevant and important to the protesters, it is still redundant in its views and it needs amendment. So I would end by quoting P. Sadashivam, Chief Justice of India, then Chief Justice of India, that if the right to vote is a statutory right, then the right to reject a candidate is a fundamental right of an expression under the Constitution.
Thank you, Dave. The next participant is Anupama. Cynthia, please be ready.
Hello.
small community of thoughtful and committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has, said Margaret Mead. A very good morning to one and all present here. I am Anupama from the Department of Sociology, and I am here to speak to you about informed voting. With state elections right around the corner, we see political parties using different campaigning tactics to draw voters to their side. Various proposals, new promises, resurrected manifestos. What's more, you might even find the catchy tune released by a political party. Today, there is no limit to the information that we receive on the internet and in the media. Political analysis by YouTubers, social media influencers, primetime debates, and the nation wants to know. We find ourselves overwhelmed in this sea of information, unsure of its credibility, which is why the onus is on us to do our own research before blindly believing everything that the media chooses to show us. Our Constitution has granted us the power to transform society through voting, and it is up to the people to exercise this right to the best of our abilities. In India, we often hear people complaining about how the democratic system is failing and how all the candidates are corrupt and not fit for office. But let us take a moment to introspect. How many of us do our homework before voting in elections? Do we make an effort to find a list of candidates standing in our constituency? Do we read upon them, their contributions and their achievements? Let's pause for a moment. How about we play our role correctly before complaining about the system? Today, India is one of the youngest countries in the world and will remain so till 2030. We have a large number of youth who are eligible to vote, and this is very significant. I firmly believe that the youth hold immense power to usher in change. Let me tell you why. Usually, first-time voters are influenced by their family and choose to vote for candidates from their own community, religion, or social group. A natural affiliation towards candidates from one's own social group is understandable, but is that all there is to it? Here, I recollect my principal's words during our school elections. Do not vote for a candidate because he or she is your friend. Vote for them because you think that they will make a good leader. If so much effort has to be put while we vote in our school elections, just imagine how informed you have to be when you're voting in state elections to choose your own leader. I firmly believe it is very encouraging to see the shift in the way we millennials think. We are speaking up, we are asking questions, relevant ones and that, and society is slowly but surely changing. We are more flexible, more accommodating and accepting to new ideas. To all those who will be casting your vote in the upcoming state elections, I say this to you. Be socially responsible, do your own research and make informed decisions and spread awareness among your peer groups. If this awareness reaches all the youth of our nation, it will definitely rock the entire system. Here's to a better tomorrow and an informed society. Thank you, Jai Hind.
Thank you, Anupama. Next up is Cynthia. Preethi, please be ready.
Ballot is stronger than a bullet. Respected coordinators, staffs, judges, aspiring speakers, and astonishing audience, an energetic and a very good morning. Imagine that if you are a parent, would you prefer your kids to educated by an illiterate? Of course, not right. That's how we hand our precious country, state, and district in the hands of a bunch of jokers. One vote changed the whole government of US, and we still talk about it, right? And that's how important voting is. My topic is role of youth in electing clean candidates. Elections are an essential part of a democracy. People have the right to choose their representatives through election process. But are we doing our duty properly? The answer is a big no. In 2019 general Indian election, 27% of the eligible candidates who cast their votes. The rest, 1/3 of the candidates are the candidates who did not cast their votes. They are clean candidates. We as youngsters should take the responsibility to spread the awareness about the information of election and its influences on their lives. The primary mission is to provide voters education and unbiased information to the voters. Of course, social media is a great tool to express our perspectives. We can utilize it to explain the significance of voting. Each one of us should encourage at least one candidate to cast their votes. They may be your friends, family, or even your neighbors. Casting a vote isn't just something that you do for yourself. It is for a collective future. I'm not forcing you saying do this, do that, but at least do something for the good of our country. Martin Luther King said, our lives begins to the end of the day. We become silent about things that matter. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Have a thoughtful day.
Thank you, Cynthia. Next up is Preethi. Maria, please be ready. Check. One important characteristic of a student is to question. So let the students ask questions. These words are said by our former president, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Good morning to one and all present here. I am Preethi Rozaria from the Department of Computer Science, have come here to speak about the role of youth in ensuring free and fair election. India is one of the most greatest democratic countries, and the elections ensure the more essence of democracy. Now, the election allows the people to select their leaders and hold the accountable. But just holding an election isn't actually enough. Let me explain you why. There is a scenario that people are not allowed to vote or the voting has not been counted accurately. Actually, election as its own function of clarity which says free and fair election. And without this can't be fair. Some citizens are prevented from voting. That can be because of voter ID's displacement or maybe they forgot. But it is our duty to vote, right? Now, since election has been a critical function, there must be free and fair election. Now, all of the scenarios before said cannot be called as the election with free and fair. What is free and fair election? First, what is free? It is means by the choice of your own, and fair itself means accurate or correct counting. So, free and fair election means an election where the people can choose their own choices of leaders, and the voting should be done accurately. The phrase "one person, one vote" is a shorthand for free and fair election. One person has the ability to only vote for one, and the voting should be counted correctly. But how can a youth help in ensuring free and fair election? I know it's like the one which they put on the title of a movie. Before the title of the movie, politics is injurious to health. I know that, but we should take some responsibilities in the elections so that the following generation can be very happy with what they have. So, we the new generation India have a great myth that these are very tough, we are just students, cannot think about politics, but it's not too tough as you think. Do you know that 37% of mobile users are the youth of the nation? That is about 16 to 27 years old. So it has a bit of a platform to even spread your to social media. You can spread your awareness through social media, like making memes or videos. We have already seen many memes against politics, against the leaders. We can use that as a platform to spread the awareness. So I would like to conclude my speech by saying, the right for your vote, so write the right. Thank you. CHRISTI, please be ready.
A pleasant morning to everyone present here. I am Maria Auxilia. As you all know, our country is moving forward to the critical event of our democracy that defines our democracy, which is its elections. And you must know, as all of you know, anything said personally is also political, and anything said politically will become personal. If you've heard the systems theory, it says anything that happens at a higher level, people think that it won't affect you, but it will. And you need to take responsibility of it. And as you know, the democracy is for the people, of the people, and by the people. So if you feel that your political candidates are not worthy of your vote, are not worthy of you, are not worthy of this country, then you got to make the change. The power lies in your hands. But where does this power go? It is with you. But do you know you have it? That's where the problem arises. You aren't informed that you have that power. But yet, at least now, you can know that you have it. And having this power, as I say, power comes with great responsibility. If you need to be responsible for it, be aware of what you can do with it and what you have to do with it. As you know, our democracy is formed by pillars which constitute the Constitution. And today, many of them are being ripped out like they don't matter. And you need to change. You should understand that this power to vote was not entitled to you easily. It came with a lot of struggle. And do not take it for granted. Be informed. And in a world, as my friend mentioned, where there is so much information and people are being misinformed, take the step to be informed. There are many NGOs, if you name, it's for example, Yuva Advocacy. They have a platform where you can go and check who are the candidates available, what they are, what is their objectives, or what do they have to offer. Don't let that sugar-coated, statement of theirs brainwash you. See for what it is. Because this is your democracy, this is your country, it's your money, it's your life. If you don't take charge of it, who will? And when you vote, be informed as to why you need it. You want to make a change? You want to change power? You want to stop this misinformation? Stop there. Do you know that today the education is being misused by those in power? People are changing the rhetoric of what happened in the past. And that's where it starts. Why let political people, people in power, choose what is to be there in our books? How do you change it? You talk for it. You be informed of it. And people like you who are informed, who have the ability or who have the opportunity to be educated, spread it. If you have a lamp, don't keep it for yourself. Keep it on a lampstand and let it spread. Let it spread so that people will know. There are many people who are in the corners, who will not have any idea. Spread it to them. Education, and see that this education is and not meaning. Hope this election will be an informed voting. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Next up, Soumya, please be ready.
A pleasant day starts a pleasant work here. A pleasant good morning to one and all gathered here. So, I'm Judith from the Department of Mathematics, Shift 2, here to talk about the role of youth in eradicating corruption during this election time, special election time. So, what we youth are supposed to do during this election time, because we are the first voters, we doesn't know whom to vote, who is correct, who is wrong, blah 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 blah, and so on. A family member, so I'm the first voter, so I asked my mom, to whom do I vote? Why do I vote? I asked several questions to her. She said me that you should vote to some specific party because entire family was. I would also want to wait. Oh no. But do we 356 millions of people in our country is the first voter year? Do we know this real statistical data that the first voter can make a drastic change in the election? Again, it's a big question mark. The thing is, when we ask or when we say the word corruption, our fingers know it used to point, especially this point finger, it just comes ready out of our hand unknowingly, and the politicians are government officers. Are we aware that the remaining finger shows us? Yes, we are also a main cause for corruption. Yes, we are ready to sell our oaths, if we are ready to take money or those if we are ready to gain money by placing our oaths to them, then what is the use of it? Why do we have to talk about corruption? Is there any right to talk about corruption by doing corruption on ourselves? We should think of that, right? So, we know that as a youth, we are all using social media, we are aware of many apps, we know how to create an app, we know the computer programming, so and so and so, we may study everything. What is the use of it? We should make use of it. We should think about it. We know how to make each and everything, each corners of an app, everything to make a better one. We know Bitcoin app, we use it. We know PUBG, we use it. We know Free Fire, they all are games. We use some yawning apps. What is the profit of it? So I would like to conclude by saying it. Using technology in a wise way as a youth really makes a great impact in corruption. Not only in corruption, but also all the process of the election. Please do vote your oath. So think before you vote, then don't regret then after your votes. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. Next up is SOWMIYA. Rajeshwari, please be ready.
அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். என்னோட பேர் சௌமியா, சோஷியல் ஒர்க் டிபார்ட்மெண்ட் வரேன். ஃபர்ஸ்ட் எலெக்ஷன்னா எல்லாருக்கும் என்னன்னு தெரியும். எலெக்ஷன் வந்து ஒருத்தரோட வளர்ச்சிக்கு ரொம்ப இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் எல்லாரும் பேசிட்டே இருக்கோமே தவிர நம்ம எப்போ எந்த டைம்ல அதை பத்தி யோசிச்சிருக்கோம் நமக்கு தெரியல. சோ நம்ம யூத்தோட பார்ட் வந்து இப்ப நிறைய இருக்குன்னு எல்லாருமே நல்லா பேசி முடிச்சிட்டாங்க. நம்ம யூத் ஸ்டேஜ்ல இருக்கோம். நம்ம அதை எவ்வளவு திங்க் பண்ணணும், இந்த ஸ்டேஜ்ல திங்க் பண்ணீங்கன்னா நம்ம எப்பவுமே ஃபியூச்சர்னு பேசுறோம். நம்ம எப்பவுமே ஃபார் ஃபியூச்சரை பத்தி பேசுறோம். நம்மளுக்கு நெக்ஸ்ட் ஃபியூச்சரை பத்தி நம்ம எப்பவுமே பேச இல்லை. நம்மளுக்கு சரியான தண்ணி இருக்கா, சரியான விவசாயம் இருக்கா, எதுவுமே இப்போ நம்ம இண்டஸ்ட்ரியல் டெவலப்மெண்ட், எக்கனாமிக் டெவலப்மெண்ட் பத்தி பேசுறோம். நம்ம என்விரான்மெண்ட் டெவலப்மெண்ட் பேசுறதே கிடையாது. சோ இது எல்லாத்துக்குமே தேவையானது ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டிசிஷன் மேக்கிங். யூத்துக்கு ஃபர்ஸ்ட் பவரா இருக்கிறது அவங்க இருக்கிற டிசிஷன் மட்டும்தான். சோ இப்போ நம்ம யூத்துக்கு எப்போ அவங்க கரெக்டான டிசிஷன் எடுப்பாங்க, ஒரு நல்ல எஜுகேஷன் சிஸ்டம் இருந்தா மட்டும்தான். எப்போ நல்ல எஜுகேஷன் சிஸ்டம் வரும், நல்ல கவர்மெண்ட் இருந்தா மட்டும்தான். சோ அந்த டாபிக் வந்து எப்படி ஒரு நல்ல கேண்டிடேட் நீங்க செலக்ட் பண்றது, ஃபர்ஸ்ட் அந்த கேண்டிடேட் படிச்சவங்களா இருக்கணும். நான் என்ன பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் ஒரு ஹெல்த் டிபார்ட்மெண்ட் இருக்காங்கன்னா, ஆனா அவங்களே 3rd ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் படிச்சு அவங்க எப்படி ஒரு நல்ல ஹெல்த் டிபார்ட்மெண்ட் வந்து அவங்க ரைஸ் பண்ண முடியும். சோ கேண்டிடேட் should be a education person and also good governance இருக்கும்போது நம்ம டிசிஷன் மேக்கிங் எடுக்க முடியும். நம்ம நல்லா திங்க் பண்ண முடியும். ஒரே ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் சொல்றேன். ஒரு ஏக்கர் ஃபுல்லா நிலம் இருக்கு, அதுல 1000 மரம் இருக்கு. அந்த மரத்தை எல்லாத்தையுமே வெட்டிட்டு ஒரு இண்டஸ்ட்ரி கட்டிட்டு அதுல 1000 வேலை வாய்ப்புன்னு சொல்றாங்க. அது டெவலப்மெண்டா? அப்ப நம்ம ஃபியூச்சர் பத்தி அவங்க திங்க் பண்ணல. அவங்க திங்க் பண்றது மொத்தமா போட்டா ப்ராஃபிட் பத்தி மட்டும் அவங்க திங்க் பண்றாங்க. நெக்ஸ்ட் இன்னொன்னு சொல்றேன். 5 rupees சிப்ஸ் பாக்கெட் விற்கிறது ஒரு கம்பெனி இருக்காங்க. அவங்க 5 rupees சிப்ஸ் பாக்கெட் தான் விற்கிறாங்க. ஆனா அவங்களோட சிஎஸ்ஆர் ஆக்டிவிட்டிஸ் பார்த்தா நம்மளுக்கே ரொம்ப ஆச்சரியமா இருக்கும். அவ்வளவு வந்து பண்றாங்க. ஆனா தினம் நம்மளுக்கு சோறு போடுற விவசாயிகளுக்கு அவங்களுக்கு சாப்பாடு சாப்பிடவே வந்து என்னது ரொம்பவே கஷ்டமா இருக்கு. இது எல்லாத்தையுமே நம்ம பார்க்கும்போது என்ன அர்த்தம், நம்ம உலகமும் சரி பாலிடிக்ஸும் சரி எல்லாருமே வந்து ஒரு எக்கனாமிக் டெவலப்மெண்ட் பத்தி தான் போயிட்டு இருக்கு தவிர என்விரான்மெண்ட் டெவலப் பத்தி யாரும் திங்க் பண்றதே கிடையாது. ஒரு 10 rupees நோட் எடுத்துக்கோங்க. அந்த 10 rupees நோட்டை பிரிண்ட் பண்றதுக்கு எவ்வளவு நேரம் ஆகும்? ஒரு ஃபிராக்ஷன் ஆஃப் செகண்ட்ல நம்ம எவ்வளவு நோட்டு வந்து அச்சடிக்க முடியும். ஆனா ஒரு மரம் வளர்றதுக்கு எவ்வளவு நாள் ஆகும்னு சொல்லி நம்ம யாரும் திங்க் பண்றதே கிடையாது. So as my opinion, the candidates should think about environment and economic development. I like to conclude with a quote. உரிமையை பேச மறக்காதே, உண்மையை சொல்ல தயங்காதே. வாக்களிப்பது உரிமை மட்டுமல்ல, அது உன் முக்கிய தடம், நீ உயர்ந்து செல்ல. நன்றி.
Thank you, Soumya. Next up is Rajeshwari. Meghna, please be ready.
அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம்.
கற்கை நன்றே பிச்சை புகினும் கற்கை நன்றே. அதாவது ஒருத்தங்க தன்னோட கல்வி அறிவை ஒரு பிச்சை எடுத்தாவது கத்துக்கணும் அப்படின்ற அந்த திருவள்ளுவரோட குரல் இப்ப எப்படி ஆயிடுச்சுன்னா, பிச்சை நன்றே தேர்தலின் போது பிச்சை நன்றே மாதிரி ஆயிடுச்சு. ஆனா கொஞ்சம் வித்தியாசம் என்ன, இவங்க காசு கொடுத்து ஓட்டு பிச்சையா கேட்கறாங்க, அவ்வளவுதான். இப்போ ஒரு எலெக்ஷன் நடக்குது அப்படின்னா நம்ம என்ன பண்ண போறோம், எல்லாரும் வந்துட்டு ஆளாளுக்கு வந்து சொல்லுவாங்க, நான் 1000 தர போறேன், நான் 500 தர போறேன் அப்படின்ட்டு வராங்க. அவங்க என்ன அவங்க பரம்பரை சொத்தை எழுதி தர போறாங்க? கிடையவே கிடையாது. ஏதோ ஒரு சூழ்நிலையில நம்ம கிட்ட இருந்து எடுத்த காசு நமக்கே கொடுக்க போறாங்க. அதை நம்ம சந்தோஷமா எல்லா பக்கம் இருந்து வாங்கிட்டு என்ன பண்ண போறோம்? ஒன்னும் இல்லை, எப்படி இருந்தாலும் என்ன, நம்ம எல்லாருக்கும் எதாவது காசு வாங்கிட்டு நம்ம யாருக்கு ஓட்டு போடுறோமோ அவங்கதான் போட்டு போறோம். அப்புறம் இன்னொன்னு, யார் ஜெயிச்சா நமக்கு என்ன, நமக்கு காசு வருது, அவ்வளவுதான். அதனால நோட்டாக்கு போட்டாலும் சரி, யாருக்கு போட்டாலும் சரி அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு நம்ம போட்டு விட்டுறோம். அதுக்கப்புறம் எலெக்ஷன் முடிஞ்சு தேர்தல்லாம் முடிஞ்சு அந்த ரிசல்ட் வரும்போது என்ன ஆகும்? ஐயோ அவங்க ஆட்சி எல்லாம் நடத்தும் போது ஐயோ இந்த மாதிரி இதாயிடுச்சு, என்னது நம்மளோட பணம் எல்லாம் போகுது, நம்ம பணத்தை மாத்திட்டாங்களே, பெட்ரோல் விலை ஏறிடுச்சு, டீசல் விலை ஏறிடுச்சு, என் சொத்து போச்சு, என் வாழ்க்கை போச்சுன்னு புலம்புறதுல எந்த அர்த்தமும் கிடையாது. அதனால நம்ம ஓட்டு போடுறதுக்கு முன்னாடியே இதெல்லாம் யோசிச்சிருந்திருக்கணும். குறிப்பா நம்ம இளைஞர்கள் இருக்கோமே, நாம என்ன பண்றோம், பாலிடிக்ஸ்ல ஒரு சாக்கடை, அதுக்குள்ள எல்லாம் நம்ம குதிக்கவே கூடாதுன்னு நம்ம இருக்கிறதுனாலதான் எல்லா துறையிலும் இருக்கிற அந்த ரிட்டையர்மெண்ட் ஏஜ், அதாவது ஓய்வு வயது அரசியல் மட்டும் கிடையவே கிடையாது. அதனால அரசியல்வாதிகள் அரசியல் பண்ணிக்கிட்டே இருக்காங்க. அவங்க பண்ணணும்னு நினைச்ச அந்த அரசியல்ல பாதி மக்கள் நலனுக்காக யோசிச்சிருந்தாங்கன்னா இந்தியா எவ்வளவு வல்லரசு ஆயிருந்திருக்கும். ஆனா வல்லரசு ஆகிறத பத்தி பேசிட்டு மட்டும்தான் இருக்கும். அது மட்டும் இல்லாம 65% மேல இருக்கிற வறுமை கோட்டுக்கு கீழே இருக்கிறவங்களோட நிலை கூட எப்பயோ மாறி இருந்திருக்கும். ஆனா நமக்கு அதை பத்தி எல்லாம் எதுவுமே கவலை கிடையாது. நமக்கு காசு தராங்க, ரேஷன்ல இருந்து லைன்ல, அப்ப மட்டும்தான் நம்ம போயிட்டு லைன்ல நின்று ரேஷனுக்கு போக வேண்டியது, வாங்கணுமா வந்தோமா அவ்வளவுதான் இருக்க வேண்டியது. எனவே நம்மளோட ஓட்டை நம்ம தான் பார்த்து போடணும். நீங்க ஓட்டு போடுங்க, யாருக்குனாலும் போடுங்க. ஆனா அவங்களோட கல்வி தகுதி, அவங்களுடைய அந்த அவங்க என்னென்ன பண்ணியிருக்காங்க, மக்களுக்காக நல்லது பண்ணுவாங்களா அப்படிங்கறத யோசிச்சு போடுங்க. கத்தியின்றி ரத்தமின்றி யுத்தம் ஒன்று வருகிறது, சத்தியத்தை நித்தியத்தை நம்பி யாரும் சேருவீர். அது அப்படின்ற நாமக்கல் கவிஞர் சொன்ன அந்த கோட்பாட்டின் படி இப்போ நம்ம புலம்பி எந்த பிரயோஜனமும் கிடையாது. அதாவது தேர்தலுக்கு அப்புறம் எனக்கு இந்த உரிமை கூடன்னு நீ போராட்டம் பண்ணிதான் உன்னோட உரிமையை வாங்கணும் அப்படின்னா, அப்படிப்பட்ட தேர்தலுக்கு நீ எதுக்கு ஓட்டு போடுற? நம்மளோட பலத்தை கொண்டு போய் தன்னை விட பலவீனமான ஒருத்தவங்க கிட்ட காட்டுறதுக்கு பதிலா நீ இப்பவே சிந்திச்சு அந்த பகுத்தறிவு தன்மையோடு செயல்பட்டு நீ ஓட்டு போட்ட அப்படின்னா அடுத்த உன்னோட வருங்காலத்துல உன்னோட நாடும் உன்னோட ஃபியூச்சரும் நல்லா இருக்கும். நன்றி, வணக்கம்.
Thank you, Rajeshwari. Next up is Meghna. Pravra, please be ready.
Good morning, respected dignitaries and my fellow friends. I'm Meghna from 1st MSW, and I'm going to talk about the role of youth in eradicating the corruption during this election process. So before I start my speech, I would like to talk about something. What comes to our mind when we first hear the word politics? And I know most of you will be like, corruption. But sadly speaking, corruption, the vicious cycle of corruption is well inculcated in the process of election, in the process of politics and not within the politics. So my speech, I will be covering 3 areas which clearly shows that corruption takes place. The first is the denying of the right to vote. Most of the people in India, they are denied to give the vote to people. This is our fundamental rights. We have that right to give votes. But you will see that most of the people, especially women in India, they are denied to give votes. Don't you think that can lead to corruption? The second area which I have covered is lack of confidentiality when you cast vote, especially youth. Once you cast your vote, the social media platform, you just start posting, I have casted my first vote. But this is a confidential process. You don't have to tell anybody, not even to your parents, not even to your siblings at whom you voted and you have voted to some, this is an entire confidential process. And the third area, which is one of our friend has already talked about, is bribing. Yes, bribing takes place during this election process. Most of us know that the political party in India, mainly in the rural areas, they will be bribing the people, both monetary as well as in other forms. But as a youth, we need to question that. We need to stop that, because that will lead to a free and fair election. So as a youth, we have the potential, we have the power to change policies, to bring new policies that will lead to the eradication of corruption from the election process, and that will lead to a free and fair election. So I would like to conclude my speech by quoting a small quote given by Kofi Annan. He is the former General Secretary of United Nations, and he said that if corruption is a disease, then transparency is the essential treatment for that. So we as a youth have the power to bring transparency in the entire election process. Thank you.
Thank you, Meghna. Next up is Pravana. Nandini, please be ready.
The preamble of the Indian Constitution reads that India is a socialist, secular, democratic republic. This notion is strongly strengthened by the fact that we the people have the power to bring change. We the people are allowed to nominate our leaders. Good day, I am Pravana from the Department of Social Work, here to talk about informed voting. My deepest regards to the members of the jury and the audience as well. Voting is considered as a formal process whereby you can exercise your choice. This is majorly conducted in terms of elections or in democracy. Elections in India are contested in both the national and state level, representing the bicameral nature of India. Informed voting refers to the concept of being politically conscious, aware, and making a choice when you vote, along with looking into documents presented by the parties contesting for the elections, such as the manifesto, and then making an informed choice on the day of the elections, rather than getting swayed by WhatsApp schooling, social media representations, caste, creed, religion, freebies, or any other such ideas. The most commonly noted way of voting in India has become over time where you vote on the basis of water, biryani or money, which is very odd considering the fact that we have so much power to exercise our vote. The states that are supposed to go into elections in the upcoming weeks include Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, Assam, Kerala and the Union Territory of Pondicherry. It is said that 824 constituencies are ready to elect new leaderships. 18.68 crores of people are going to go out there and vote. Like every other election, this election will also face a lot of first-time voters who will be casting their vote and exercising their power and right to citizenship. Informed voting in Tamil Nadu has certain criteria, such as first, getting yourself to be, once you're eligible to vote, getting yourself enlisted into the voters list, then enrolling yourself and going to the polling booth on the day of the elections voluntarily, and then voting in such a manner where it is ethical and formal and very well informed. This also has the fact that we have to be very civic conscious and continuously update our statuses with regards to what is happening in the nation as a whole. I recommend a 3-step procedure to go into the state elections. That is IMF: information, motivation, and facilitation. Be informed and do fact checking before you decide to go out and vote. Be motivated because it is your duty. It's your responsibility as a citizen of India. And be facilitated by the fact that you have a lot of power on your shoulders and you're equally responsible for it. I'd also like to make a statement known here that this time the Tamil Nadu Elections Board has also given a particular dedicated WhatsApp number for the disabled and the other specially abled communities to cast their vote. I'd like to end my speech with a quote which is by Abraham Lincoln, which states that the ballot is stronger than the bullet. Please exercise your vote.
Thank you, Pravara. Next up is Nandini. Manju Kashika, please be ready.
அனைவருக்கும் தமிழ் வணக்கம். A warm welcome to my judges, my staff, and my peer groups. The game changer of the nations are sitting in front of me, the youth power, right? Okay. Myself, Nandini, first year MSW student. My topic is the role of youth in eradicating corruption during election. Being the last speaker of the elocution is the disadvantages. நம்ம பாயிண்ட்ஸ் தான் முன்னாடி எல்லாரும் சொல்லிடுவாங்க. ஸோ நம்ம வந்து புதுசாக ப்ரிப்பேர் பண்ணணும். ஓகே, லெட் அஸ் see the topic in another area of perception. Okay, what are the way as a youth the way I incorporate to eradicate corruption in this process of election. Okay, there are several places where corruption occurs in election, but then the most the thing which we know is the first thing, campaign. It starts from campaign, right? So what can we do to eradicate corruption during campaigns? Like youth can be in the panel of election commission, right? Why can't வாக்குறுதிகளை வந்து அவங்க வந்து திட்டமிடுறாங்க? Why can't we be in the panel where they create an agenda? கேம்பெயின்ல அவங்க அஜெண்டா தான் சொல்ல போறாங்க. ஸோ நம்மளுக்கு என்ன தேவையோ அதுதான் அவங்க வந்து அதுதான் அவங்கள வந்து அஜெண்டால இருக்க போகுது. And why can't we be in that panel to decide what we want? We have to think, right? And we can demand because we have the power, because we are empowered, right? We are empowered. So there is a in Tamil அரசியல் கொள்கை நினைக்குது ஏழைகளின் உண்மைகள். The corruption states that the process in which the word or expression is changed from its original state to one regarded as enormous or debased. வேர்டா பண்ணாலும் கரப்ஷன் தான். நீ பொய் சொல்லி நீ என்ன நினைக்கிற அது வேர்ட்ல காட்டினாலும் அது கரப்ஷன் தான். Expression by the way you do also is corruption only. So what you are saying is not what the way you are doing. So அந்த பாயிண்ட்ல நம்ம வந்து அவங்கள வந்து டிமாண்ட் பண்றதுக்கு we have the rights to. So first this campaign, okay, அது okay, will be for example நம்ம வந்து அந்த பேனல்ல இருப்போம். ஸோ வந்து அஜெண்டாலாம் அவங்க வந்து கிரியேட் பண்ணும்போது நம்ம இருப்போம். ஸோ அஜெண்டா மூலியமாவே நம்ம வந்து ஒரு பாதி கரப்ஷன் நாங்க ஸ்டாப் பண்ணிடுறோம்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க. நெக்ஸ்ட் வேற எந்த இதெல்லாம் நடக்கும்னு பார்த்தா செல்லிங் ஆஃப் ஓட் வந்து எங்க பார்த்தாலும் நான் 2000 ரூபாய் தரேன், 5000 ரூபாய் தரேன், 10000 ரூபாய் தரேன், ஆர்கே நகர்ல அது நடக்குது, இங்க இது நடக்குது அப்படின்ட்டு வந்து there is lot of sales market is happening there. And we know, right, we are in the same community. We know யார்ல என்னென்ன தராங்க, எவ்வளவு தராங்க, எப்படிலாம் தராங்க, எந்த மாதிரி தராங்க அப்படின்லாம் we know. So what can we do? We are in the same community. Why can't we make a complaint? We the youth of the nation, why can't we make a complaint against that? And there the process of eradication of corruption starts there, the second level. And third level is polling booth. The most கடைசியில வர ஸ்டேஜ் அதுதான். கரப்ஷன் வந்து to the extent it will happen போலிங் பூத்ல தான். அங்க இருக்க லோக்கல் பாடி they will be coming and எங்க இதுக்கு போடுமா அங்க போடுமான்னு சொல்றதை தாண்டி எனக்கு தான் போடணும் எல்லாம் வெட்டிடும் ஒண்ணு அப்படின்னு சொல்ற லெவல் கூட it is going there. And there is, you know what is FOP, Friends of Police, and why can't we have a same panel like youth in election commission? And we have to youth has to be placed in the polling booth where we should be the monitoring power, and we should be the police also we should have that power to monitor. நெறிப்படுத்திய மனிதன் நேர்மையான நாட்டை உருவாக்குவான். ஸோ அதனால ஒரு மனுஷன் youth are so we in the good way they can make it is a good nation. And the last is result. Okay, resultla there will be a lot of counting mistakes. And why can't we also youth be involved in the place area where counting is happening? The transfer is very important, right? So corruption will be reduced where youth will be inculcated in the process of election. And finally, thank you for this wonderful forum, and be the game changers youth, and happy voting, first time voters, happy vote, do your vote in the right way where you can make the nation right. Thank you.
Thank you, Nandini. Next up is Manju Kashika. Pooja, please be ready. Okay. Disorder, chaos, confusion describes exactly where a nation would be if it chose to reject the simple, basic ideology of democracy. The ideology of democracy that can be thought of as the power to its people. I know, as my previous speaker mentioned, I know you've heard this multiple times already, but India, our motherland, being the world's largest democracy with its beautiful linguistic and religious diversity, is a pretty cool thing, right? With a way of governing that depends entirely on the will of its people, India also has, as again already mentioned, the largest youth population. So we, the people here, the youth, essentially are choosing our leaders, the representatives of our nation, right? But are we doing it right? The credibility of elections depends on the free expression of the will of the people, right? You don't vote for someone because someone asked you to vote for them. This is one place where you can choose not to obey for to your parents. Just because your dad said vote for this person, you shouldn't vote for them, right? It is your duty, your responsibility to educate yourself and select a candidate you deem worthy. This cash for vote culture is still prevalent and is spreading like cancer. We need to understand that this is not going to bring about change. Choosing our leader can. Again, we, the youth, can resolve this by understanding the idiocy of this act and educating other people about it. Social media, again, already mentioned, but again, kannal paarpadumpai, kaadal ketpadumpai, theeram saaripademe. False news spreads like wildfire through social media. So again, I ask you to check your facts before you spread it. Don't forward everything that comes to you like your neighbor only. Research and do consistent research. Be aware of what you're doing and don't be an Nentu cutlet only for a week before the election. Also, there is this culture where you vote for the person of the party instead of actually doing research on all the candidates that are contesting. I tell you that we have the duty to learn about all the candidates. Again, as mentioned, learn about their achievements and then vote for the honest and the competent candidate. Finally, this is probably the first time that most of us are voting. So we need to understand our power as the youth for our vote, and we need to exercise. We need to make sure that we all exercise our vote. The most violent element in society is ignorance, and our ignorance gives them the power to fool us. Let's not give them the chance. Thank you.
Thank you, Manju Kashika. Next up is Pooja. Shanti Priya, please be ready.
அனைவருக்கும் உற்சாகமான காலை வணக்கம். இந்த ஒரு நல்ல நாளில் ஜனநாயகத்தை வலிமையாக்கும் வாக்களித்தலை பற்றி கோணங்களில் பேசிய இந்த அவையில் விழிப்புணர்வுடன் வாக்களித்தலை பற்றி பேசுவதில் மிக்க மகிழ்ச்சி அடைகிறேன். என் பெயர் பூஜா. நான் சமூகவியல் 3ஆம் ஆண்டு பயின்று வருகிறேன். வாக்களித்தலை பற்றி நாம் அனைவருக்கும் தெரியும். இது எப்பொழுது தோன்றியது என்று பார்த்தோமானால், தமிழகத்தின் வரலாற்றை புரட்டி பார்க்கும் பொழுது பராந்தக சோழனின் காலத்தில் இருந்தே குணவோலை மூலம் வாக்களித்தல் நடந்து கொண்டுதான் வருகிறது. கால மாற்றங்களினால் விதிமுறைகள் வேண்டுமானால் மாறிக்கொண்டு வருகின்றன. சரி, அப்படிப்பட்ட சுமார் 1500 ஆண்டுகால சமாச்சாரத்தை, அப்படிப்பட்ட தொன்மையான சமாச்சாரத்தை இந்த நவீன காலத்தில் விரல் நுனியில் தொழில்நுட்பமும் சமூக வலைதளங்களும் நமக்கு இருக்கும் பொழுது இந்த விழிப்புணர்வு தேவையா என்று கேட்டால் நிச்சயம் தேவை. சுதந்திரம் நமக்கு கிடைத்து 70 ஆண்டுகள் ஆகிவிட்டன. ஜனநாயக வாக்குரிமை நாம் பெற்று 70 ஆண்டுகள் ஆகிவிட்டன. ஆனால் இன்னும் தேர்தலில் 100% ஓட்டு என்பது வாக்குகள் பதிவு செய்யப்படுகின்றன என்று கேட்டால் இல்லவே இல்லை. எனவே நிச்சயமாக விழிப்புணர்வு என்பது நமக்கு தேவை. கோயிலில் நமக்கு அழகாக 50 ரூபாய் கட்டிவிட்டால் நேரடி தரிசனம், திரையரங்குகளில் முன்பதிவு செய்து நேராக போய் உட்கார்ந்து கொள்ளலாம் என்று எளிமையாகவே பழகிவிட்டதாக என்னமோ தெரியவில்லை. நம் நாட்டின் நடப்பை அடுத்த 5 வருடங்களுக்கு
போல. சரி, வாக்களிக்க வேண்டும் என்று கூறினால் மட்டும் போதுமா என்று கேட்டால் இல்லை. ஏன் வாக்களிக்க வேண்டும், எப்படி யோசித்து வாக்களிக்க வேண்டும் என்பது மிகவும் அவசியம். ஜனநாயக நாடுகளில் அரசாங்கம் அமைவதை, நல்ல ஒரு அரசாங்கம் அமைவதை தடுப்பதற்கு என்னென்ன இருக்கிறது என்று அரசியல் ஆராய்ச்சியாளர்கள் கணித்த பொழுது 20ஆம் நூற்றாண்டுகளில் கூறினார்கள் கல்வி அறிவு இல்லாததும் ஊழலுமே காரணம் என்று. ஆனால் 21ஆம் நூற்றாண்டுகளில் கூறுகிறார்கள் முக்கிய காரணம் என்னவென்றால் வேட்பாளர்களை பற்றியும் தேர்தலை பற்றியும் நமக்கு வாக்காளர்களுக்கு சரியான விழிப்புணர்வு இல்லாததே காரணம் என்று. இப்படிப்பட்ட சரியான விழிப்புணர்வு பெறுவது மிகவும் கடினமா என்று கேட்டால் இல்லவே இல்லை. இதோ தேர்தல் வந்துவிட்டது, பிரச்சாரங்கள் சூடு பறக்க போகின்றன. நாம் செய்ய வேண்டியது எல்லாம் நம் தொகுதியின் வேட்பாளரை பற்றி நன்றாக தெரிந்து கொள்ள வேண்டும். கட்சிக்காக கொடுக்கும் அந்த கட்சி அறிக்கைகளை வெறும் வெயிலுக்கு விசிறியாக பயன்படுத்தாமல் அதை சற்று படியுங்கள். நம் நாட்டில் முதுகெலும்பான விவசாயத்திற்கு என்ன திட்டம் வைத்திருக்கிறார்கள்? தொழில்நுட்பத்திற்கும் பொருளாதாரத்திற்கும் நீண்ட கால திட்டம் என்ன இருக்கிறது? கல்விக்கும் மருத்துவத்திற்கும் உடல் நலத்திற்கும் என்னென்ன திட்டங்கள் வைத்திருக்கிறார்கள் என்று சற்று யோசியுங்கள். அது மட்டுமின்றி ஒடுக்கப்பட்ட மக்களுக்கும் பெண்களுக்கும் பால் புதுமையினரின் மேம்பாட்டிற்கும் என்ன செய்ய உள்ளார்கள் என்று பாருங்கள். பார்ப்பது மட்டும் இல்லாமல் இவையெல்லாம் சாத்தியமா இல்லையா என்றும் சற்று யோசியுங்கள். இவையெல்லாம் முடிவு செய்து ஒரு நல்ல வேட்பாளரை தேர்ந்தெடுப்பது என்பது மிகவும் எளிதல்லவா? விவேகானந்தர் கூறுகிறார் ஒரு சமுதாயம் என்பது தனி மனிதர்களின் கூட்டமைப்பு என்று. ஒவ்வொரு தனி மனிதனும் ஒவ்வொரு நல்ல முயற்சி எடுக்கும் பொழுது சமுதாயம் ஒரு படி மேலே உயருமா? அப்படி பார்க்கும் பொழுது நுண்மான் நுழைப்புலம் ஆய்ந்து அறிந்து தெரிந்து தெளிந்து நல்ல வாக்கினை பதிவு செய்தோமானால் ஜனநாயகம் வலிமையாவது உறுதியாகிவிட்டது. எனவே நல்லதொரு நாளை நோக்கி நடைபோடுவோம். நன்றி, வணக்கம். வாழிய பாரத மகிழ்ச்சி.
Thank you, Pooja. Next up is Shanti Priya. Vidhi Jain, please be ready.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Since there's a time constraint and my previous speakers have mentioned all the points, I would like to dive straight to the point. So, nota, none of the above. It's also called a blank vote or a blank ballot and doesn't have any electoral value, but I strongly disagree. Blank ballot, blank denotes emptiness, and nota is really empty, doesn't have rejection, it's approval. The objective collection of thoughts of a voter strongly disagreeing that none of the candidates should be his or her leader. And it was also the substitute of a very long procedure, 17A form, which indicates the rejection of a candidate, and it was introduced in India in 2013. The electoral policy defines nota that it is the expression of disapproval of nominees by a voter and form for the protection of the fundamental right of freedom of speech and expression. You may think voting for nota is a waste of time, but America proved it wrong. In the US 2016 election, that is the famous Trump-Clinton election, 56% of the votes were nota. Yes, 56% of the nation believed that none of the leaders should stand as their president. If a superpower like America can express strong hate towards their leaders, isn't it possible in India? 66 lakhs people in the 2014 general elections disapproved nota. That is, they disapproved through nota to their leaders. Let me connect this with how us youth can utilize this nota. Not just youth, inform youth. As you all know, India is the youngest country with 58% of youth who fall in the category 15 to 35 age. New voters are also given preference during elections time for the issue of voter ID. This is like the government itself saying that the voters should come and vote. We're making it, I quote, we make it good for you, so you can just come and vote here. If the majority party can change the rule, if the majority party can rule us, then we, youth, I refer we because everybody here is young, we, the youth, can change the majority itself. We, the majority, can change the majority.
Swami Vivekananda stated that 100 youth can change the nation. What about 100 well-informed youth change the world? Knowledge is power. Information is wealth. If knowledge and power combines, it becomes dangerously authoritative. It's a democracy, so changes are possible. We still have hope. So please vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Shanti Priya. Vidhi Jain, please read. Kritika A.N. is the next participant.
A very good morning to the respected dignitaries, my dear teachers, and my dear friends. I'm Vidhi Jain from BSc Psychology, a first-year student, and I will be talking about the role of youth in eradicating corruption and sins. Be the change you wish to see in the world, said Mahatma Gandhi. But think about it for a second. Do we really want to be the change that we wish to see in the world? Do we take any measures in that direction at all? The first thing that we as youth need to understand is that the youth itself encourages corruption. And the youth encourages corruption by breaking the rule of law. Let me explain. When faced in a situation wherein we have broken a law, let's say we did not wear a helmet, or we sped up our bike and broke the law, the first thing that comes to our mind is driving the policeman. Is that even the right thing? That's what we think of first. How low as a community have we come to? That's the first thing we as youth go towards. And when faced in such situations, we are not thinking about paying the fine or facing the consequences of our actions. We are instead thinking about driving the policeman. So this is where it all starts. And I think that the youth majorly contributes to corruption itself. Let me talk to you about an anecdote from my childhood. So there was this one in school when I was about 8 to 9 years old, and we were being taught about corruption and things like that in school. And the very next week, my dad did not wear a helmet and he was caught for the very same thing. So I told him that he did the wrong thing and he had bribed the policeman. He did not listen to me. He just outrightly rejected me and said, it's okay, that's what we do. We were getting late and all of that. So what I did was, I went to school and complained to my teacher. And the point that I'm trying to make here is that education is the key to eradicating all the evils in our society. So the role of youth in eradicating corruption itself comes from education. All of us have been given a voice and we have been given a power, which is knowledge, to eradicate the evils of our society, and we should step up and do it. To achieve credibility in elections, elections should be transparent, inclusive, and accountable, and there must be equitable opportunities to compete in elections, which is not possible with corruption in it. There was an awareness campaign, which was election literacy camp, which I attended a couple of weeks ago, and it was very informative and fun. So I got really excited, and I was like, okay, I'm going to apply for my voter's ID. I've turned 18, and I spoke to a friend of mine, and I told him that this is the thing. I'm very excited for it. Would you also apply for your voter's ID? He said, no, it's a very corrupt system. I don't even want to do it. So that's when I told him that if you don't even wish to be the change that you see and want to see in the world, then how are we going to change the world together? Young India is a fighter. It fights for equality, education, employment, security, and so on. And we will fight against corruption. Thank you.
Thank you, Vidhi Jain. The next participant is Kritika. Margaret, please be ready.
எல்லாருக்கும் வணக்கம். என்னோட தலைப்பு என்னவென்றால் ரோல் ஆஃப் யூத் இன் எலெக்டிங் கிளீன் கேண்டிடேட். எனக்கு இதை எடுக்கிறதுக்கு முன்னாடி ஒரே ஒரு விஷயம் தான் தோணிட்டே இருந்தது. ஏன் நம்ம மற்ற விஷயத்துல ஃபோக்கஸ் பண்ற அளவுக்கு கூட ஏன் அரசியல ஃபோக்கஸ் பண்றது இல்ல? அதே மாதிரி மீடியா என்ன சொல்றது, மத்தவங்க என்ன சொல்றாங்க, ஃபேமிலி என்ன சொல்றது, இதை வச்சுதான் நம்ம ஓட்டு போடுறோம். நம்மளா சுயமா சிந்திச்சு ஓட்டு போடுறதே இல்லை. எப்படிலாம் ஒரு தலைவரை தேர்ந்தெடுக்கலாம்னு சொல்லிட்டு என்னோட கண்ணோட்டத்துல இருந்து சொல்றேன். ஒரு தலைவர் முதல் கிரைட்டீரியா என்னன்னா, ஒரு தலைவர் அரசியல் வரதுக்கு முன்னாடி முன்பின் அவர்களை பத்தி பார்ப்பேன். முதல்ல என்னன்னா, முதல் விஷயத்த இதே புதிய தலைவராக இருந்தாங்கன்னா அவங்களோட பேக்ரவுண்ட் செக் பண்ணுவேன். இதே ஆல்ரெடி இருக்கிற தலைவராக இருந்தா அவங்க என்ன இந்த இந்த இயர்ல வந்து அவங்க சொன்ன என்ன விஷயத்தெல்லாம் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க 5 வருஷத்துல பார்ப்பேன். ரெண்டாவது என்னன்னா அந்த எக்ஸாம்பிள் என்ன சொல்லுவேன்னா எக்ஸாம்பிளுக்கு என்ன சொல்லுவேன்னா ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வந்து நான் என்னென்ன பார்ப்பேன்னா ஹெல்த், எக்கனாமி, எஜுகேஷன் இந்த 3 விஷயத்துல என்னென்னலாம் அவங்க கொண்டு வந்திருக்காங்கன்னு சொல்லிட்டு பார்ப்பேன். ஹெல்த்ல வந்து என்னென்னலாம் புது புது விஷயத்தெல்லாம் நோய்கள் டெக்னாலஜிகள் வளர்த்து கொண்டு வந்திருக்காங்க, அதே மாதிரி அவங்களுக்கு என்னென்ன பெனிஃபிட் கிடைச்சிருக்குன்னு சொல்லிட்டு பார்ப்பேன். எஜுகேஷன்ல வந்து ரூரல் என்னென்ன சிஸ்டம் புது புது சிஸ்டம்லாம் கொண்டு வந்திருக்காங்க, அது ரூரல் பீப்புளுக்கு வந்து போய் சேர்ந்திருக்கான்னு சொல்லிட்டு பார்ப்பேன். 3வது விஷயம் வந்து ஒரு MOU எத்தனை சைன் பண்ணியிருக்காங்கன்னு சொல்லிட்டு பார்ப்பேன். இப்படி பண்றப்ப அவங்களுக்கு வேலையில அதாவது வேலையில்லாத ஆட்களுக்குலாம் வந்து இப்படி பண்றப்ப அவங்களுக்கு நம்ம பட்டம் செய்வாங்க. ரெண்டாவது கிரைட்டீரியா என்னன்னா என்ன பார்ப்பேன்னா அவங்க வந்து என்ன மோட்டிவ்ல இருக்காங்கன்னு சொல்லிட்டு பார்ப்பேன். ரெண்டாவது விஷயம்னா அவங்க வந்து இது வரைக்கும் வந்து மக்களுக்காக என்ன செஞ்சிருக்காங்க. எக்ஸாம்பிள் சொன்னா நம்ம அக்ரிகல்ச்சர்ஸ்ல நிறைய பேர் போராடிட்டு தான் இருக்காங்க. என்ன மோட்டிவ்காக போராடுறான்னு சொல்லிட்டு பார்த்ததே இல்லை. அப்படி பார்த்தா நல்லா இருந்திருக்கும் ஆக்சுவலா. அதே மாதிரி 3வது கிரைட்டீரியா என்னன்னா அவங்க எப்படிலாம் ஒரு நல்ல தலைவரை நான் தேர்ந்தெடுப்பேன்னா 2 வருஷம் அவங்க சோசியல் ஆக்டிவிட்டிஸா இருந்திருக்கணும், 6 வருஷம் மிலிட்டரியில சர்வ் பண்ணியிருக்கணும். அதே மாதிரி இப்பெல்லாம் பண்றப்ப அவங்களுக்கு தேசப்பற்றும் மக்களுக்காக இருக்கணும்னு தோணும். அதே மாதிரி யங்ஸ்டர்ஸ்க்கு வந்து பார்ட்டிசிபேட் பண்ற மாதிரி கொடுத்தா ஏன்னா வந்து யங்ஸ்டர்ஸ் வந்து அவங்களுக்கு அரசியல்ல வந்து இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் இல்லாம இப்பெல்லாம் போயிட்டு இருக்காங்க. எப்ப நம்ம யங்ஸ்டர்ஸ்க்கு பார்ட்டிசிபேட் கொடுக்குறோமோ அப்பதான் வந்து யங்ஸ்டர்ஸ் வந்து நம்ம நாடு சொல்லிட்டு நம்மளும் நம்ம நாட்டுக்கு எதனாச்சும் பண்ணுவோம்னு சொல்லிட்டு அவங்களுக்கும் தோணும். இப்பெல்லாம் இருந்தா ஒரு நல்ல தலைவரை நான் தேர்ந்தெடுப்பேன். ஒரு சின்ன கோட்டோட முடிச்சிருக்கிறேன். ஒரு நல்ல தலைவர் தேர்ந்தெடுக்கிறப்பதான் நல்ல நாடு முன்னேறும். நல்ல நாட்டு முன்னேறப்பதான் மக்கள் நல்லா இருப்பாங்க. மக்கள் நல்லா இருக்கிறப்பதான் ஒரு இதுல எப்ப நடக்கும்னா நம்ம எப்ப நல்ல தலைவர் தேர்ந்தெடுக்கிறோமோ அப்பதான் நம்ம நாடு வந்து முன்னேறும். அதனால think before and act. இதோட முடிச்சு.
Thank you, Krithika. The next participant is Margaret. Ifet Humera, please be ready.
ஏழு தூக்கி கல்வி பயிலும் மாணவன் தான் நாடு காக்கும் தலைவராய் நாளை விளங்க போகிறான். தித்திக்கும் தேன்தமிழ் திக்கட்டும் பரவட்டும் முத்தமிழ் தாய்க்கு என் முதற்கண் வணக்கங்கள். எதிரிட பேரவை புரிந்திட நடுவர் அவர்களே, ஆசிரியர் பெருமக்களே, ஆன்றோர்களே, சான்றோர்களே, என்னை போன்றோர்களே, உங்கள் அனைவருக்கும் என் முதற்கண் வணக்கங்கள். கண்களில் சிறந்தது ஆங்கில மாதத்தில் சிறந்தது மே, ஏனென்றால் அது விடுமுறை மாதம் அல்லவா. தமிழ் மாதத்தில் சிறந்தது தை, மா மே தை. ஐயா அப்துல் கலாம் அவர்களின் நான் மிகவும் மிடுக்குடனும் நெகிழ்வுடனும் சொல்ல போனால் கர்வமுடனும் சொல்லுவேன். உலக நாடுகளே நம்மை பார்த்து பொறாமை கொள்ளும் அளவிற்கு இளைஞர் சமுதாயம் நம்முடைய நாட்டில் தான் உள்ளது. யாருக்கும் கிடைக்காத வரப்பிரசாதம் நம்முடைய நாட்டில் இருக்கிறது. என்ன தெரியுமா? திருப்பதியில் கொடுக்கும் லட்டும் அல்ல, பழனியில் கொடுக்கும் பஞ்சாமிரதமும் அல்ல, அது நம்முடைய நாட்டின் இளைஞர்கள் என்பதை நான் மிகவும் கர்வமுடன் சொல்லிக் கொள்கிறேன். நடுவர் அவர்களே, தேர்தலுக்கும் இளைஞர்களுக்கும் ஒரு மிகப்பெரிய இணைப்பு இருக்கிறது. அதனை பற்றி தான் இப்போது நான் பேச போகிறேன். இந்த தேர்தல் என்ற வார்த்தையை நாம் இரண்டாக பிரிக்கலாம். தள், அதாவது ஒரு தேரை தள்ளுதல். ஒரு தேரை வீதிகளை தள்ளிக்கொண்டு போகும் பொழுதோ அல்லது இழுக்கும் பொழுது அதுக்கு பூ சூடி நம் மாலையிட்டு மரியாதை செலுத்தலாம். ஆனால் அந்த தேர் செல்ல வேண்டிய இலக்கை தீர்மானிப்பது அந்த தேர் அல்ல, அந்த தேர் பாகம் என்பதை ஒரு தேர்தலில் ஒரு பிரதிநிதி தன்னுடைய சிம்மாசனத்தை அடைவதற்கு தேர் பாகனாக இளைஞர் சமுதாயம் தான் மிகவும் முக்கிய பங்கு வகிக்கிறான் என்பதை நாம் தெரிந்து கொள்ள வேண்டும். நிறைவாக நான் ஒன்றை சொல்லி நான் விடைபெற்றுக் கொள்கிறேன். இந்த தேர்தல் நாட்களில் பேய்களை விடவும் மிகவும் முடிகளை தலைவிரித்து ஆடுவது என்ன தெரியுமா? நம்முடைய நாட்டுல ஊழல் தான். நாம் நீதி பெற வேண்டும் என்று ஒரு பிரதிநிதியை நாம போயிட்டு நம்முடைய தேர்தலில் நம்ம தேர்வு செய்தா அவன் நீதி கிடைக்க விடாமல் நிதியை நீக்கி விடுகிறான். புரியுதா? அவன் நீதி கிடைக்க விடாமல் தேர்தலில் நிதியை நீக்கி விடுகிறான். ஆனால் அந்த நீங்களே சொல்லுங்க, நீதிக்கு கொம்பு இருக்கிறதா இல்ல நிதிக்கு கொம்பு இருக்கிறதா? நீதிக்கு தான் கொம்பு இருக்கிறது. அப்போ நிதியை நீட்டி நீதியை பறிக்கும் பொழுது அந்த இடத்துல தாங்க அந்த கொம்பை வெட்டுறதுக்கு ரொம்ப போல வருவது நம்முடைய இளைஞர் சமுதாயம் மட்டும்தான். யாருக்கும் தெரியவில்லை. அன்று ஏறு தழுவுதலில் புரட்சி செய்த புரட்சியாளனுக்கு ஆட்சி செய்யதான் தெரியாதா இல்ல ஆட்சியாளனாகத்தான் தெரியாதா? காத்து கொண்டிருக்கிறது இளைஞர் சமுதாயம். அது நமக்கு புரியாமல் நாம் வாழ்ந்து கொண்டிருக்கிறோம். இதோ அண்ணன் வடிவேலு அழகாக சொல்லுவா, அடிக்கிற அடியில் தாரை கப்பட்டைகளை பிடித்து தொங்க வேண்டாமா என்று. இளைஞர் சமுதாயம் கால் எடுத்து வைத்தால் சாக்கடைகள் என்று சொல்லப்படுகிற அரசியல் எல்லாம் தூக்கடைகளாக மாறிவிடும். எனக்கு அருமையான இளைஞர் சமுதாயமே, நாம் அற்பமான மண்புழு என்று வாழ்ந்து கொண்டு நாம் தேர்தலில் கால் எடுத்து வைக்காமலும் இல்ல முறையான ஆட்சி கொண்டு வராமலும் வாழ்ந்து கொண்டிருக்கிறோம். நாம் அனைவரும் அற்பமான மண்புழு இல்ல. நம்முடைய கட்டை விரலை விடவும் இமயம் மிகவும் குட்டை என்பதை நாம் இந்த சமுதாயத்துக்கு எடுத்து சொல்ல வேண்டும். அப்படியாக எடுத்து சொல்ல பொழுது ஒரு நல்ல ஆட்சியை நாம் பின்பற்றி நமது நாட்டை வளர்ந்த நாடாகவும் வல்லரசு நாடாகவும் மாற்ற முடியும் என்று கூறி வாய்ப்பளித்தமைக்கு நன்றி பாராட்டி விடைபெறுகிறேன்.
Thank you, Margaret. Next up is FATHIMAM.
Good morning to one and all present here. I am FATHIMAM from the first year of MSc IT, and the topic I'm going to talk about is the role of us youth in electing a clean candidate. So first of all, let me put forward my view, my opinion regarding whom should be, considered as a clean candidate. Okay, it's my perspective again. All of us are free to have our own perspective as we are a democratic country. So if you see, according to me, the first thing one of the clean candidates should, have as a quality is good education. Yes, because the more we, learn, the more we understand how unexposed we are to so many different things going around the world. So the more educated we are, the more we know about the things. Firstly. Second, they should not have any kind of, illegal allegation on them. Because I feel they maybe may not. Again, it's my own view. So in my perspective, they should have, a clean, you can say, past, which is free of allegations. And secondly, they should be a very good critical thinker. So critical thinker is basically thinking at that point of time when some emergency comes into picture, you have to respond to that something very precisely, we can say. And moreover, they should be a loyal citizen themselves. So unless they cannot do justice to our country. Yes, and now moving forward, like we youth, what can we do to to be the betterment of our society? So always, I was told this in my very young age that when you point at someone, 3 fingers are pointing back towards you. So if you think someone over there is not capable enough to be your leader, why not you lead the team? Yes, so we youngsters, we should take initiative and being it's considered that politicians are like very this and that. But why not, if you think you are capable, if you think a friend is capable, why not you support them and be their pillar of support? Who knows, you might be one of the very likable candidate to come forward, and you might win as well. Yes, so initiative is the first thing. Unless you initiate, nothing cool is gonna happen. And secondly, like, okay, if it's basically the family says don't come into picture of politicians, this, that, and all. So if you want to make a family happy as well, so how can you support the people standing for the election currently? So that could be by, you can educate the people around you as the importance of voting. Like the people will say, for us, 4 years, someone is going to rule. Why should I waste the 5,000 rupees coming to me right now? Yes, that's the general mentality, because they don't understand the need of them having this 5,000 or 4,000 rupees is because they cannot earn that amount. So when some politicians comes into picture, which can give you the job you require and you can earn something out of your own capabilities, why do you have to depend on someone else for running your household errands? Yes, so we can be like that. Yes, moreover, the more entrepreneurs come into picture, the more we have different things into come into picture. I just quickly finish off with a small word. So they should also be somewhere, like they should have their some past where they have held something in front where they can elect, like maybe they have hold some very good post, like maybe a school people leader or a college students union as a head. So maybe they can be given more preference or such. So the lastly, my words will be, the Mark said, we shall never change our political leaders until we change the people who elect them, which is basically us youth. Thank you.
Hi girls, and now we have a short break, and I can hardly count and can very well count your heads. Okay, anyhow, take a short break for 10 minutes. Go and come back exactly after 10 minutes. Now what's the time? 11:50. So 12 o'clock you're back, and we have to announce the result. Okay, and a bit of a concluding session. Okay, go and have your cup of tea and come back after 10 minutes.